The Detroit Lions have a player that everybody's just kind of forgetting about, a guy that could be a really good player for the Detroit Lions, and I think he's being slept on, and that is Kalif Raymond, and he's going to get his opportunity this year. And here's why I say that. Dan Campbell has raved about him for ever since he signed with the Lions. Jared Goff has raved about him ever since he's been with the Lions. And remember, Kalif Raymond, I remember signing him like, Kalif Raymond? That's weird. Yeah, we'll get into him just a second, kind of his history. And it is weird to be like, everyone loves him and they want him to really be successful. And so Dan Campbell has talked about it. He's a Swiss Army knife. He does it all for us. His versatility to play the position. He's a guy that's always going to have a place in our offense. Also, as a returner too, new kickoff rules may be right in his wheelhouse. You go up and you look here, Dan Campbell, and I won't play it, but Dan Campbell right here is talking about Donovan Peoples-Jones. And this is about a month ago. He does not talk, and this caption's perfect. The way Dan Campbell talks about Donovan Peoples-Jones is a far cry from how he talks about Jameson Williams and Kalif Raymond. So that wide receiver 3 position is open. It's Kalif Raymond's. It's crazy. We keep looking at Donovan Peoples-Jones or Antoine Green. We've made videos on that. Like looking at that, it's like, I think it could be Antoine Green. Donovan Peoples-Jones, I just don't see it. It's crazy. And so in here, Dan Campbell talks about how, I won't play it just because I don't think you can hear it through multiple speakers, but just talks about, yeah, hey, he's got a long way to go. He doesn't say he's a long way to go. He's like, he's got to prove it in camp. He's got a big body. He's got to use that body in camp. So take away just for a minute here. Let's take away Donovan Peoples-Jones from that wide receiver 3 position, because again, we're trying to fill the Josh Reynolds role. That was very important. I know his last couple games were a little shaky, but Reynolds was a key piece. So why not Kalif Raymond? He's smaller, but that's it, right? It's like, well, he's small. Well, okay. So you look at this playoff or this training camp battle, Kalif Raymond versus Donovan Peoples-Jones. With the uncertainty surrounding Jameson Williams at the number 2 wide receiver, I don't know why it says that. Until we see uncertainty, Jamo's 2. Let's go. Amon-Ra's number 1. And for that 3 spot, Detroit will need to see between Kalif Raymond and Donovan Peoples-Jones. While Peoples-Jones was quiet during the offseason program, Raymond shined on several occasions, giving him a head of steam going into training camp. Thanks to already solid chemistry with Jared Goff, Raymond wins this battle. I totally agree. And this is hard for us fans, I think, because Kalif Raymond, remember, he was undrafted out of Holy Cross. Then he goes to the Denver Broncos, then the Jets, then the Giants. Then he's on the practice squad with the Titans and the Giants for 2. So there's 4 years just vanish. And then he goes back to the Titans, and he was there for 4 years. And that's where it's like, oh yeah, Kalif Raymond, like he's pretty solid, right? Or like, what is he? And then we signed him in 2021. And he's kind of that anchor guy, that one of those guys that we sign when we're trying to tear this down, find the right guys, build this the right way. And guy after guy talks about him. They love him. They can't believe how dedicated he is, how consistent he is. Dan Campbell last year said, I like our receiver room. I think we have a good mix of different types of guys. Leaf is our Iron Man, particularly in that room. He's a guy that's going to be for us when we need him. He always shows up. Jared Goff earlier this offseason said, I want to be like Kalif Raymond. I want to practice like him. I want to do what he does. I want rookies to see and look at Kalif Raymond. Professional, always there, always on time, always doing the right things, knows where he's supposed to be, can trust him. Kalif Raymond. So I think the Lions are very comfortable with Kalif Raymond being where he needs to be, being the guy that they need. Now, the size thing, and he's not Reynolds was a big body. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a big body. So it's like, that's kind of what we want in that wide receiver 3 role, I guess, because we don't really have a big body. Jamo's that's not his game. He's more of a speed guy. So I don't know. Be interesting to see. Now look at some other battles. Hendon Hooker versus Nate Sudfeld. Now, this is an interesting one because Hendon Hooker is just like, he's our backup. He's our backup / he's going to be challenging Goff, baby. It's like, no, that's not what's happening at all. Hooker's got a long way to go. Nate Sudfeld isn't terrible. I think that's the big thing. We had those terrible backups there for a couple of years. Sudfeld isn't terrible. He's not who you want as your backup, because I don't know if he can win you a couple games if Goff goes out for like a month. Worst case scenario. I mean, if Goff goes out for the season, then the season's over, and that's just what it is. But if Goff, breaks a finger and he's out for 4 games, can Sudfeld come in and win a couple? I don't think so. Can Hendon Hooker? I don't know. But we look at it here. At the end of the day, Hooker is going to be the backup, I would guess. He's too talented, too big of a ceiling to not be. But we'll keep an eye on that. Another one, Jack Campbell versus Derek Barnes. Derek Barnes is coming off a breakout campaign, but Jack Campbell wasn't too shabby his first season either. That's perfectly said. Derek Barnes, for him, he'd had a breakout. Jack Campbell, just kind of figuring it out, was just about as good as him, or if not better. So Campbell is getting rave reviews from coaches so far this season, and he appeared to be the preferred choice over Barnes during the spring. Jack Campbell for sure. Now you look at that cornerback 2 position. We kind of know it's Terrion Arnold, but we also like the fact that Amik Robertson can play out there as well, and he can play the nickel position. And then Enos Rakestraw, perfect, right? He's going to be either backup. He's going to be a backup corner. We got some depth there. So just to see the names of these 3 new corners is so much better than last year, when you're just like, boy, trying to figure it out who's going to be there. Because we're good. Carlton Davis is the number 1. All right, the slot position. We know Brian Branch, of course, but we also Amik Robertson, I was just saying it, and Enos Rakestraw can play in that slot. They were looking at Brian Branch more at safety, which would open up a major role at the slot position. I don't see that, but that's something, again, we have to watch in camp. Is Branch going to be more at safety? Because Branch is so good at that slot position, being able to cover, run. He can play the run and cover like quick guys. He could cover tight ends. Branch in the slot is just so good. I don't know if they'll move him to safety. So again, things to consider as we get closer to training camp, right around the corner, watching not only who makes the team, of course, but where do they slot guys additionally. But keep an eye on Kalif Raymond. I think he's the guy that we're just kind of forgetting about, trying to find another person to fit that role when Kalif Raymond is sitting right there and can be a really good player for the Lions. If you haven't subscribed already, if you've watched videos, we'd love if you would subscribe, just because we put out daily videos and we're getting close to training camp for a Super Bowl run, which is like, it's crazy. It's crazy. I know it's August, or it's July. Excuse me. It's July, and we're talking about that, but that's just what it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see all of you on the next one.